Good morning and welcome to Module 3. I wanted to review just briefly with you some of the things that happened on Module 2. The first thing I want to tell you is that modules open for 143 at 9 o'clock on Thursday morning. There is a time put in and a date, and Blackboard automatically opens it at that time. It's also put in to close at noon on the coming Tuesday. So that's a Blackboard thing. It opens it and it closes it. If you're late, then it's going to close and it's not going to let you submit your work. I suggest that you not wait until the very last minute, or as some of you found out, you cannot open it. I do apologize. I was working with one of you and I changed the time to be able to allow him to turn in what I asked him to redo. And then when I put it back, it was on a different date. But that only happened for a couple of hours and it got put back right away. So I apologize to you. And nobody lost any points over that particular thing. And I do make mistakes, and I do appreciate it when you let me know, because if I don't know, then I can't go in and try to fix it. Sometimes it's a Blackboard issue that I have to go to MJC to have them fix. Anyway, thank you for your patience. The other thing is that I'm flexible with you if you talk to me and we go over what your particular issue is. I'm not going to change the classes around for anybody unless it's an individual need that you talk to me about. And then I'm pretty flexible on doing that. But I have about 160 people as students this semester, and so all those individual changes can add up in terms of total time. I try to grade your papers within a day of receiving them, so you do usually get them back pretty quickly. Now let me talk to you for a few minutes about some of the issues that you have with the work that's required. I keep the format pretty much the same so that you can get your life into a routine over it. So every week, pretty much you have a video from me. Not always, but especially if there's an issue. I'd like it if you watch it. There's no requirement, there's no grade for it, you don't have to, but you might find out something that you might need to know. The other thing that's there every week is a discussion question. Those questions are answered on Blackboard in a submission area, and you respond by creating a thread. And so you have to have a minimum of 2 responses. One is your response to the question, and the other is your response to somebody else's answer. You can have 25 responses. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. And I do read them. I rarely get involved in the conversation unless I really disagree with you and you have some big misinformation, because that's between you and your peers, and I like to read what you think, and I learn something from each of you too, and I do read every single one of them. The second thing that you have is you have a domain question. In the social work area, there are domains, and if you look on Start Here, it lists all the domains and what they stand for. So one of them might say that they stand for ethics, and every organization has a code of ethics as a group, and you can find the CASRA USPRA code of ethics if you look it up, but it is in your book, and it was in the 142 book also. Also, a lot of the work that I give you goes around those ethics, and those are for you to figure out what is ethical, what is whatever that particular domain deals with. It is up to you to try to figure out what is the right answer. There won't be, there may be one more multiple choice, and then it will be completely essay type of question for you to answer. So that's there every week. And when it says upload your answer into the assignment area, when you go on Blackboard, there is a place right in the middle where you click on, write your response or whatever it says in the submission area, and then it gives you a heading just like you have on your computer or a typewriter, where you can change the font, you can change to centering it, whatever you want to do with that, and a place to write. There are two places where you can submit your answer, and I don't care which one you use, but use one of them. And don't send it to me as an attachment. If you send me an attachment that I have to open and it goes to my desktop, I'm probably not going to open it. Often the name of the person is not on it, and I can't tell when I have more than one on the desktop whose it is, and so I don't know who to respond to. And I have to go to the desktop, then I have to go back into Blackboard, and it takes a couple of tries to go back and forth between those before I can try to find out, who I'm dealing with and try to read the information. So do it on Blackboard, or you may not get credit for it. Please. Sometimes I'll ask you to email it, like let's say you have a problem, you're sick, your child's sick, whatever it is. I'm always willing to work with you individually. Pick up the phone and call me, and I'm glad when the majority of you seem to do that. So call me, talk to me, we'll make arrangements for how you could submit that assignment or change it or whatever you need to do. So don't flood me with it every week, because that gets a little busy. But if you sincerely have a problem, I'll always work with you and work around whatever your problem is. The other issue on there is you do have the 3 substitution assignments for a term paper. Now, I don't make those real difficult because you don't have to turn in a reference page. You don't have to do it in APA style and format. But make no mistake, they are to be taken seriously, which means you need to really think through what you're doing, because they are each 5% of your grade. They don't have to take you 6 hours or 2 weeks to do. All you need to do is think through your answers and think through what psychosocial rehabilitation is, and read the questions that you're asked to answer and then answer them directly. For instance, on the assignment on the girl that I gave you some basic information. Then the issue is, what do you do with it? And almost every one of you forgot the first rule of psychosocial rehabilitation. A very easy thing to forget, but one that you should remember. And it's what we should all remember when working with clients on whatever level. Even though I have a doctorate in psychology and have probably more certificates to practice or do whatever than most of you do, it doesn't mean that I don't start seeing people doing the same thing. And my first questions about people are, what is it that you need? What is it that you're here for? What is it that you want? Tell me how I can help you. Because it's not up to me to tell a person what I can do to help them. I can make some suggestions as they start to tell me about them. And in this instance, you need to remember Maslow's first 2 steps. Number 1, people need to have their basic needs met. Food, clothing, and shelter. That's very important. Now, to some homeless people, they don't want shelter, and they'd prefer to live out in the open. And even though you may not want to, they feel safer there, which is the number 2 step, is making sure that they feel safe. And you can ask them questions, but you don't answer those questions. You can get them to talk to you about their needs. And then you don't just say, well, here's a phone number and call. You make arrangements for them to have the information. And sometimes you may take them someplace. I seem to have spent a lot of time over the years driving people to where they need to go. How hard is it to go to United Samaritans and help somebody get food? And then the next time they don't feel dumb and stupid because they don't know anybody and don't have the connections. But you have to look and see, what is that person telling you what their needs are? I just gave you some basic information about somebody. Almost every one of you prepared a list for that person to do. Here's your list. Take it and go do it. Nuh-uh, that's not the answer. The answer is using unconditional positive regard. That means putting away your own biases and the things that you think are the most important to you, and looking to see or to hear what the client tells you is important to them. It doesn't hurt to give people options, but let them tell you what they need options for. Like, have you ever thought about trying such and such? Okay, you don't want to do that, that's fine. What can I help you do instead? And then you draw the answers out of them. So I am going to open up on Thursday morning, which is today, that particular question. So on Module 2, you'll be able to open Module 2 and open the questions again on the alternative assignment. Those of you that missed Houston, I'm sorry you did, because the kinds of things that they do there are exactly what I'm talking about. They never know who's going to walk in that door. And it's up to them to listen to the client and say, okay, what is it that I can do for you to help you? And for most of the people they deal with, they have no transportation and can't go anywhere but where they are in some small town out in the middle of nowhere. So as you look at that, you need to be sensitive to that none of us likes to be told what to do. We like to be included in the decision making. And it certainly makes it a lot easier to get positive responses from a client. And sometimes they just say, I don't want anything, and they leave. Their choice. But they always have your phone number and can make an appointment to come back. And sometimes you just have to go out and meet with them. And not every organization will allow you to do that, but the majority will. I worked in schools for many years and made a lot of home visits. And it's an eye-opener for anybody. If you haven't visited the homes where most of our clients come from, sometimes you're not very understanding of what they live with or without. Anyway, I appreciate your answers and I want more of them. You won't always get 100%, and sometimes I'll even listen to you and let you go back and redo it. Sometimes I'll call you and suggest to you that you need the opportunity to redo it. But also, when you go on Blackboard, it automatically records the date and the time that you go on. For instance, several of you said, hey, I can't get into Module 2. Well, you could have gotten into it if you hadn't waited till like 12:15 on the day it was due to respond, because it closed at noon. And that means it's closed. You can't see it anymore. So you need to know also that it'll close if you're still working on it at 12:15. It probably is going to shut you out and you're going to stop right wherever you are. I'd suggest that you get on at 10:15 instead of 12:15 so that you can submit your answer. But if you have questions about that, let's talk about it. We'll both be on the computer and you'll tell me what you see and I'll tell you what you need to click on. Anyway, have a great week. And all of your answers are interesting to read. Sometimes it's not quite what we're looking for in psychosocial rehabilitation, but then that's what the class is about. Talk to you soon.